What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Imperfect. And guys, before you jump on me, I'm sorry. I graduated college. I had to take a couple weeks off. But yo, I'm excited to have our first guest after a couple of weeks. And this guest, I've been waiting for the right guest for this topic, you know. And I knew I knew the person in my mind from the minute. I just had to get the balls to hit him up, and I finally did. We got Mikey Castro on the set. How you? Well, not on the set, but via Zoom. How you doing, brother?
Yo, what's going on? I just woke up from a little nap skis.
Let's go.
Here. It's too cloudy up in Boise right now, so it's like the mood is just, but obviously now I'm at the beach. So
now I'm on the beach. Hold up real quick, bro.
So we chilling. Probably get
That's
a pina colada after this.
That's dope, bro. So Mikey is a dancer, yo, and this is so exciting because you're the first dancer I've had on the podcast. Like I said, I wanted to find somebody that I respected. I've known in the dance community for a long time, and I was like, I'm just gonna hit him up. You're literally my first choice, what I'm saying. So I was like, yo, I just gotta wait till I get this all set up first. So
dope.
I'm excited to have you on.
Appreciate that, sir.
Heck yeah. So I know you. From a while back, I took one of your combos. I cannot remember. There's so many dance events and things that go on, but I remember taking one of your combo classes back in the day. And this is probably 3 or 4 years ago, but damn, dude, that class got me working.
I remember. It was here in Boise.
It was
for, like, a conference. What's the conference called? I remember it. I taught Bruno Mars.
Yep, you did, bro.
Yeah.
Yep. Dude,
memories.
Yeah.
The memories.
That's good stuff, bro. I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I remember all good moments of dance. So
heck yeah, man, dude. It's so good. It's so good. So let's just kind of jump into it, man. How did you start dancing, bro? Where was the moment that you're like, this is something I'm going to do?
Yeah. So I would say I started late, freshman year of high school. The end of my freshman year of high school, these seniors actually hit me up and they're like, hey, do you want to perform in the school assembly? And it was more so back in the day when sea walking was a thing before it was on TikTok,
right.
And so all I could do was sea walk. And I was like, yeah, I guess sure. I watch You Got Served and I've watched Step Up and I love dance, so
heck yeah.
End of freshman year, performed at a school assembly. Absolutely fell in love with the idea of just dancing and performing, and then, basically called myself a garage dancer because I never took any classes or anything during high school times. More so of just hey, let's get together, let's session, let's figure out what we're doing with dance and what we can do with it, and then kind of bleed into college year. My freshman year of college, I actually met a really good buddy now. His name is Max Wynn, so he kind of took me under his wing of choreography and actually teaching and actually just understanding that professional aspect of it, or just being able to take it more serious because again, I didn't grow up in a studio. I grew up in a garage. My dance background was watching You Got Served, watching Step Up. It wasn't whatever I saw on YouTube is I'm going to try to copy that or replicate that. And that's kind of how I started. And then, college, just starting to actually take classes from Max and learn actually how to count music and choreograph and what musicality is. So during my college years is definitely where I put in that work of really understanding and perfecting my craft as a dancer or a dance teacher. So.
Dang, dude, that's a grind, bro. You mentioned something that really catches my attention, and I didn't realize that. I kind of just thought you did start at a young age, but I also started. I danced for 10 years. I haven't danced for 3 or 4 years. I moved away from it and entered the film world, but I absolutely loved it too. But how did it feel? How did it feel though? Myself, I can relate is being 14 years old and when did you say when did you dance in a studio? What age were you?
Taking classes.
Yeah.
Or I was probably 17 or 18 before I took my actual first class.
Damn, bro.
So, I think, yeah, maybe. Yes.
That's crazy. So I started dancing at 14, but
Nice.
just entering the classes and you're just all these people that have been dancing 2-3 years old and you're what the hell is happening? I'm in the wrong place.
100%.
Did it feel like that?
Yeah, so funny story, right? Like me and Max actually we actually traveled out to Vegas, and this is probably one of my oh no. I lied. My first class was in San Diego, at Studio 429. So that's where Choreo Cookies is from. Like that entire group of like Keone and Chris and Mari, like that was their studio. And I didn't take their class, but you know, like going into like your first ever hip hop class and like knowing that this is the studio and this is the team that you've been watching, like, oh, for sure, like butterflies in my stomach. Like, and then it was crazy because I actually got picked for a select for one of like the beginner hip hop classes. So I was like, oh, this is tight. Like, this is cool. Like, this is a really good time. And, you know, like, again, just when you start taking classes, like, I'm sure we're going to dive deeper into like my thought process on like class and how to perfect your craft. But for me, it was like, it was a really cool, like, eye opening experience to actually, you know, like learn from somebody instead of like, watching a YouTube video and then try to replicate that movement, you know, or watching a YouTube
Right.
video and trying to do that movement. So yeah, it was cool.
That is cool, man. Yeah, I think that just like that first time is just it's hard. Like you're so behind. I mean, in
Oh,
hip hop we can kind of get away with it because there's a lot more, you know, whatever. But it's like you still lost so many years of what could have been nice, good stretching and flexibility and just practice, like you said, the counting and all these things that they already knew. Like I walked in the class, knew zilch, and they
yeah,
knew everything. You know.
yeah, 100%. It's like, I think on top of that, right, the counting aspect of it, it's like, all right, it starts on one, and I'm like, okay, where's the one? What does
Yeah,
that mean?
dude.
I'm gonna start when everyone else starts. I don't know what 5, 6, 7, 8 means. All right, do I go now? You know, like, and just yeah, like knowing the like the foundation of like just being a dancer, like what it is to actually like take a class too. You know, like I picked up some pretty bad habits just being like a garage dancer. You know, like my
Right.
turnout and like my knees, they're shot. Like my knees are bad, terrible because of like my turnouts and everything. But you know, it's just like habits that I picked up that no one necessarily corrected me on it. So like that form aspect and you know, like being able to make sure that your body, the longevity wise, you know, you're stretching, you're doing all that stuff. Never really had that. Never really had that foundation.
Yeah, you just kind of go in there and just start breaking stuff. I
Yeah.
feel you too. Like you just get older and you're like, oh shit, like I
Oh,
messed up.
100%.
That's crazy. That's crazy, man. But so yeah, you started dancing though and started taking studio classes. When did you start like teaching? When did you start getting in front of classes, start doing choreography and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, Max actually taught at one of the studios, like my very first studio, and he asked me if I wanted to sub, you know, to teach a class. And I believe that was when I was 18. So it was like February of 20 something. I have it on YouTube and I don't know the exact date, but that was my very first class. And he was able to help me break it down, you know, of like being a dancer and then being a dance teacher are two completely separate worlds, right? Like you can be the greatest dancer, but if you don't know how to connect with people or you don't know how to explain your movements, then the teaching side of everything is that's not going to connect. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, like I've seen that too. It's like where again, I'm sure we're probably going to get into like more so of like what I've done, but you know, like I've been able to teach like on a convention. So I traveled out to the East Coast to go teach with a couple like big names from like So You Think You Can Dance and stuff, and like hip hop teachers there, you know, and like being able to talk to all the other studio like whoever the teachers are, they're saying like, yeah, some people just don't even know how to teach. Like they're being flown out just because they're great dancers, you know. So just being able to, I really dove deep into perfecting my craft as not only a dancer but also as a dance teacher, right? So everything that I learned from Max's classes or like the classes that I took from like took in Vegas, you know, I would take bits and pieces of every teacher of what I liked and what I didn't like, and then I would apply that to my teaching. So, you know, I've been teaching for probably what 10 years now. So, you know, it's just a culmination of everything and like learning on like yeah, learning on the go, you know, like again, started kind of late and didn't know what it was like to teach in an actual studio. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
No, dude, that's dope. I like that. I like that answer a lot. It's really interesting to see how people have learned and it was just my freshman year that I hated sports, bro.
Yeah.
Like I was that guy that just like that guy pushed me. I'm done. Like like I'm done with
Yeah.
football. I'm done with baseball. And my mom's like, gotta do something, But
Right.
that feeling, like just jumping into it and trying it for the first time and kind of like liking it, even though you're too late getting in there and learning it, and like you said, being a teacher, learning the choreography, learning the counts and things like that. But did you notice like when you do teach other places, because like there is a huge difference between YouTube, maybe just what you do throughout your own body, but also like when you go to different areas, like there's a difference in the hip hop community. Like, have you
Oh,
noticed that? Like, or maybe it's just a different style, but like there's just what I would say, like when I went to hip hop competitions, in bigger cities, like that felt more real to like the core of hip hop compared when you go to a dance studio. They teach, jazz, modern tap, ballet, all those other things, and then like hip hop's like at the bottom,
yeah. I think hip hop, it's one of those like, it's a very gray area whenever you talk about like a hip hop dancer, right? Like there's so many aspects of it. It's like, well, are you a popper? Are you a breaker? Are you a locker? Do you house? Like talking about that hip hop side. And it's like, well, when you go to a dance studio, like it's more so of like flips and tricks and like cheerleading hip hop, and not to like bash on that because there's so much, right? Like hip hop hasn't really, like, it's been defined, but people are going to market a hip hop dance class 100% different from another studio, right? So like being able to come into like different studios and just be like, yeah, I'm a hip hop teacher, you know, um, I just like, I approach my classes like, I'm going to teach you some steps, like make the best out of it, like my style is obviously not going to be something that you're used to unless you've been training with me for super long, but like let's get it, like let's put in this work because like when you look at ballet or jazz or any of those styles too, like they're all going to have their own like different flavor,
hmm
so like I feel like if you were to step into a ballet class, that you're going to be hitting a couple releves or you're going to be doing this and this, but like when you jump into a hip hop class, you're like, well, what am I in store?
Right.
Is it just going to be a straight popping class? Is it going to be a breaking class? Am I going to dance to top 40 or am I going to dance to something that I've never even heard before? Right? Like it's that realm of like hip hop dance or like in a studio versus like in a bigger city or, like there's so much to it. And it's one of those things that I feel approaching it, it's like you have to be so welcoming and, you can't really like push, like you can't keep your mindset of what you think hip hop is because everyone else sees it completely different,
Right.
right? So yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. Like even just watching other people, there's kind of this realm of very kind of like this soft hip hop where it is kind of pop lock, kind of fast movements, but to slow songs.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see it. But like, how did you determine kind of your style throughout time? Did you kind of like grow your style because of the type of music you liked, or you just kind of like I'm really good with these movements? Like, what kind of built your style?
I think for me, it was like when I first started dancing, I watched a lot of San Diego dancers. It's like the Keone, Mari, choreo cookies. Like a lot of that style is like that. I almost used to call it like that SoCal like hip hop choreography, right? Where you're so deep into a pocket or like you really just like textures and like musicality. And so a lot of when I first started, it was like a lot of like wordplay. So I would always just try to like incorporate telling the story through my choreography, right? Like if someone mentioned something, I want to be able to paint that picture. It's like always been the way I've approached it is that it's my job as a dancer or like a choreographer to make that music come to life, right? Like we can't see music, but we can hear it. So the dancer's job is to be able to hear that music, interpret it, and then show it to someone that might not necessarily be able to hear that music, but they can see it, right? So I
Right.
think music and dance just they work so well together, obviously. But
Right.
that's like one of those things where as a dancer, like my thought has always been you want to be able to portray what that music or like what that song is saying to you, right? Like I'm going to hear a song completely different from how you're going to hear a song. I'm going to interpret it the way that I want to interpret it. You're going to interpret it the way you want to interpret it. But that's kind of how I approach like my choreography. But a lot of it was just like, I love R&B. I love 2000s R&B. So it's easy for me to like listen to that kind of music and then sit so deep in that pocket of basses and snares where, like the textures that I approach are going to be 100% different from someone that's going to be dancing to like more upbeat hip hop, right? So
Right. I agree, man. I agree. It's interesting to kind of see how you develop your style throughout time. Like you just kind of look back and you're like, you just like you said, you just kind of feel the music and you have your own message to it.
yeah,
But
100%.
did you when you like were growing up and getting more and more into dance, did you kind of start when you say this garage style, did you kind of start freestyling or did you kind of jump on the choreography type of side?
It was more freestyle. So like a lot of it, like that 4 years of high school, like that, a lot of that was freestyle, right? So I think for me, like learning how to freestyle makes learning how to choreograph a lot easier because choreography is just a repeated freestyle, right?
Right, exactly.
I've always pushed back on people that say like, well, I just choreograph, like I don't know how to freestyle. And
Uh,
like I push back on that because it's like, what do you mean? Like you had to come up with that movement somehow, right? Like you're freestyling to choreograph. It's the exact same thing. Like whatever you're hearing out of that music, like that's what your body's coming out with. So it's almost like word vomit on a
right,
dancer's body, right? Like
right.
that's what freestyle is. It's what comes to your mind right away when you hear a beat or right when you hear the song. So yeah, 4 years of freestyling before actually hopping into like when I started college of actually like learning how to choreograph and textures and all of that stuff.
Right. That's interesting, dude. I heard that all the way growing up, and I've had that kind of same thought. It's like when, because there's two boys out of like 400 plus girls at my
Yeah,
studio. Like,
sure.
like, so I already grew up on the other side, but all the girls, every time, all right, class, we're going to freestyle. They're like, we don't know how, like, well, we
Right,
don't know what, like, I'm like, what do you, like, like, my thought process, it's like, I don't care how weird I'm going to look. Like, I'm just going to do whatever, like, weird thing or whatever comes to mind. I think it might be like, I think people can freestyle, but the embarrass aspect, or what if I look weird or do something where that's what gets in their mind and they're like, I can't do it. It's like, no, you can.
right.
You really can. Like you've learned how many moves, you just can't. You got to get that confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And like when you're in a circle or like a cipher, right? It's like all eyes are on you. So it's like
Right.
no matter like you could think like you have the dopest freestyle out there, but someone could think it's whack, or vice
Yeah.
versa, right? Like you could think that your freestyle was complete absolute garbage, but someone watching could have been like, "Yo, like that was pretty
Right.
dope," right? So
Right.
yeah, freestyle is like a whole different beast, and it's I think that's like that raw form of expression, right?
Right.
Even though like choreography too, like I paint pictures with my choreography, but I had to freestyle to get to that choreography. And
Right.
I do know like I know of like a lot of hip hop teachers, they'll start to freestyle before they even get into like that choreo choreograph mindset. Like they'll hit a couple freestyle sessions and then they'll be like, all right, I'm ready to choreograph now. you know
Right. Yeah, I respect it. So you keep mentioning you went to college. Did you get a degree? What college did you go to?
yeah, so
And was it dance?
I went to Boise State, and I double majored in marketing and general business. So like for me, like my parents were always supportive of the whole dance thing, um, thankfully. But like like our deal was I need to go to college and I needed to get a degree. That way I have something to fall back on, right?
Right.
And marketing, general business, marketing myself as a dancer, like that is just hand in hand, right? So
Yes.
the things that I've learned is like on the business aspect of being able to like send out my resume or like conduct an email professionally, just different ways of like how to market myself, Mikey Castro, to the general audience, right? Because at the end of the day, like I'm the product, you know, I'm marketing myself and I have to get people to fall in love with me. So
Right.
it's the
Right.
exact same thing of like, here's a cell phone, here's an iPhone, right? Like, how do we market this? Here's a dancer, how do you market that? So
Right.
I think that for me, I if you're a dancer, I think that you should at least minor in marketing or like some sort of business degree, right? Or at least study some business classes. Um, because I don't know, I think everyone should study business classes, just
Mm.
because like
They're
you
good in
know how to
life.
market yourself. Yeah, so 100%.
So that's a hot question. I mean, it's crazy to see the similarity. Like I didn't know we both started it late. I didn't know we both started doing these things, but I did the same thing. You know, I started just freestyling, then I went into a studio, and then when I had to go to college, my family told me the same thing. You got to get some kind of degree. And I
Hmm.
spent 3 years at Idaho State, very close to get my dance degree, but then I was like, I'm a freestyler, not a choreographer.
Right.
You know, after you go at it for so long and you can't build a pipeline, you know, I started looking at other talents and I felt like I could shoot videos, right? I can bring people's
Yeah.
ideas to life, you know? But, and I don't regret that. Like, I love dance, you know? Like, at least I paid 3 years of college to dance at a wedding, you know? Just like when you're in that circle and you're dancing, everyone's like, yeah, I'm like, I paid $30,000 to do this. Like, and, you know,
Yeah.
like, I learned this. Like,
Yeah.
it's all worth it, you know? But being serious, though, like, because you did it and you graduated with it, and this is such a hot topic. We've had this on the show so much. Is this, should you go to college? And now you're perfect because this isn't, you know, this average conversation. Should you go to college for business? Should you go to college for marketing? Should you go to college for art, specifically dance? Like, do you think that amount of money helped your career? Do you regret it? Do you think, like, you know what I'm saying? And I think
Yeah.
of it like, maybe to kind of tie the question all together is like, if your kid was going to go to dance school, now that you know dance and you know what you've learned, would you be like, learn from YouTube, learn from online, go get out there? Or would you say, yeah, go spend 4 years of college and pay X amount of money to dance?
It's hard to say. So on top, like I see both sides of it, right? Like Max, you know, he went to college, but he never finished college. But he is so successful now in LA, you know, the people that he's danced for and like the connections that he's made. Um, I think college is great, don't get me wrong, but I also think that it has to be the right timing. And you have to be able to, you got to know like what you want to do in the art, right? Like if you're a dancer, like, do you want to move to LA? What do you want to do? Right. Um, Obviously, you know, like dancers, like our body is what we need to dance, you know. So if something does happen to our body, say I were to lose a leg, I'm not dancing, you know, like I'm not going to keep dancing the way that I've been dancing. So for me, it's like having that backup of a marketing degree, or, you know, it's so hard to say because we are all going to go through life in a different journey of like, is this the right thing for me to do right now? Or when I was 19, should I have moved to LA? Right. Like who's
Right.
to say that if I quit college and I was in LA, like I don't know what would have happened. You know, it's one of those things where you have to bet on yourself. Um, but for me, it's like I never really wanted to go to LA to be a dancer. I fell in love with the aspect of being a dance teacher. You
Right.
know, so I think college is great. I think yes, go to school, but if it's not the right time for you to go to school, then don't blow 30 grand, 50 grand, you know, like continuously changing your major just because it's college and everyone else is going to college. You know, like you got to go into it with a game plan. It's like anything else in life, right? If you set a goal for yourself, you have to be able to know, like, I want to achieve this, 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 and this. You can't, like, money doesn't grow on trees, right? Like, you can't just keep
Exactly.
throwing money into a university and being 10 years deep and no major, or you haven't graduated, or, you know, like you leave 3 credits shy. It's one of those things where, again, you need to know what you want to accomplish. Um, but for me, like, I feel like I made the right decision, you know, like being able to know what I do know through marketing and what I was able to accomplish through dance, like for sure it's, yeah, like it,
Yeah.
I think my puzzle piece that was
Right.
being able to
No,
go to college.
I love what you said there is like get that minor, you know, like
Yeah.
every major normally does come with a minor. So at least get that business, at least get that knowledge. But like the biggest issue here is that a lot of people don't know what they want to do. I sure as hell didn't. I said,
Right.
hey, you got to go to college. You got to pick a degree. I wasn't pressured, but kind of, but not really. Kind of like, hey, you should go to college, or like, you're not as cool as like we think you are. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like,
Oh yeah.
but,
Cause
but it's like the question being is, if you don't know, but you know you do like dance, would you still tell them to go?
it's a hard question.
Like, so did you know, like, when you went to college, you knew, like, were you already dance teaching at the time? You're like, yep, I'm going to be a dance teacher. College is going to help me.
No, I had
See,
no
when,
idea. I had no idea that, like, cause I started as like an IT major. And then throughout like college, granted, like IT is still in the business realm, so I didn't really lose that many credits
Right.
as I'm like switching between all my majors and stuff. But I had no idea that like marketing would be something that is going to help benefit me as like a dancer or like a dance teacher, you know.
Right.
I don't know, like nowadays too, like there's so many different like online courses of like not even having to go to
That's
school, right?
That's a huge thing, right? You have these huge thing, like you've probably been on YouTube, the master classes where they hire actors, big dancers, big people that are like, hey, come here, pay $200, but have access to all of these
Yeah.
modules and learning, So it's kind of shifted, but I mean, having that conversation with your parents, hey, I'm not gonna go to college, I'm gonna go learn online. They're gonna be
Right.
like, do you get a degree? You're like, no, but I learn.
Right, right. But it's also like one of those things, like you said too. It's like that social stigma, right? Like if you're not going to college, you're not doing anything with your life. And I think
Right,
on that aspect of it, it's like you know what you want to accomplish. They don't, right? Like other people are always going to have their opinion. They're either going to think you're stupid for not going to college, or they're going to be inspired by you chasing after your goals.
right,
So because of that stigma of I need to go to college after high school, like that's where the pressure is, right? And nowadays it's like you get a bachelor's degree, that doesn't guarantee you a job like it used to. Like nowadays, like companies are looking for a master's degree for an entry level job. Like
right.
I've looked at those jobs and I'm like, yo, what? Like I got a
It's
degree,
ridiculous.
why am I not hired, right? But I think not only does that like degree though help, but even like the social aspect of like networking through college. Like I've met some really cool people through college. Granted, if I didn't go to college, I would have never met them. Like
Right.
life has a real funny way of working it out for you and for like what your goals are. Like I'm a huge believer of like everything happens for a reason, and when things are supposed to happen in your life, like you either made it so that could happen in your life, or like it's going to fall there because that's fate and it's supposed to happen that way you know
I
um but yeah, like that's kind of where I'm at. And I know I kind of like tiptoed around like the should you go to college, should you not go to college. um I think it is like on a case by case basis. Is if you have one opportunity, take it. Like if you
Mm,
don't know what that opportunity is, then like college is still a great idea, and like that is something for you to fall back on, because at the end of the day, like in a blue collar world, like people are looking for degrees,
right.
unless you have connections. But like you can still take like there's graphic design classes online, like you can learn everything on YouTube. Like there's so many different like masterclass websites where it's like learn how to video edit as a professional for $200 instead of get a degree that says you know how to video edit, right? Like
Mm. Yeah, I
skill.
know.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, like I know, like I'm not asking for you to like tell the next dancer what he should or
Yeah,
shouldn't do, because I know it's different. I just wanted to kind of get your take on it because it's good to hear someone that did. Like I said, I switched majors. I've always been interested in video, anyways. I realized honestly one day I was like, other people like you. These guys are talented. How can I help them reach the world? Oh, video. You know what I'm saying? I can learn the mechanics and the details and the art of video, because that I'm a lot more comfortable with, because I never learned how to count. Like 3 years of college, don't know how to count. But that idea, should I go to college? Is it going to be worth it? And like you said, it's different. Like me, I didn't know either, but I knew that I'm in Pocatello. There's not like great hip hop dancers just
yeah,
down the street, So college is where I'm going to be able to network and be around other dancers, Sucks there's literally no other like hip hop dancers. So, was it worth it? That question I still ask myself, even if I graduated, was it worth it? But it's good to ask somebody else, like, was it worth it? Do you feel right? And obviously we've, as we'll get into some more, like I've seen your success and the things you've been doing. So it's good to know that, I feel like maybe it did help, or it was like you said, the right puzzle piece. But it's just kind of like giving the next answer, is it worth it? Should I go? But I think, like you said, two big things that I would take note of is get a minor, get marketing, business, something like that. That's great advice. And B, try to find out your goal, try to find out your plan, because you're like, I like dancing, I'm going to just go pay 40K and learn dance, and then you get out of college, you're like, here's my certificate. They're like, but like, where's your videos? Where's your art?
Yeah.
Where's your, where's your portfolio? They're like, uh,
Right here on this piece of paper.
yeah, on this piece of paper, this says I can dance. you know, it's difficult, man. It's difficult. But there was one thing though that you did that really interested me. Like this was a while back. I can't remember when you started it, but you started doing those. I believe it's called like the Chronicle series. What was that whole?
Starving Artist Chronicles.
Starving Artist. Yes, that's what it
Yeah.
was.
So Starving Artist Chronicles, that was kind of like me. Boise, even though it is like the capital of Idaho, it's not really like huge in that hip hop scene. So Starving Artist Chronicles was something that I wanted to create to give back to my community. It was, like we talked about, my freshman year of high school, like I didn't necessarily have like the tools and resources as like a young dancer. Like I had no idea, right? Like I was in a garage dancing with like other people, and we had no actual direction on where to go. Like there were no events, so Starving Artist Chronicles was a way for me to give back to the community and give back to the art that I fell in love with. Giving back to the community here is like the younger dancers. Now they have events to look forward to. They have dance battles to look forward to. They have showcases to look forward to. Because again, when I was dancing, I never had that, right? I had to travel out of state for a class. I had to travel out of state for a battle. So it was very slim when I started dancing, but Starving Artist Chronicles was one of those things where it's like, I wanted to bring other communities into our community to give those tools and resources to the up and coming dancers, because it's not just Mikey Castro in Boise, Idaho, right? There's so many other dancers, and like even though I've done what I've done, I know that there's someone here in Boise that can elevate what I've done. So just being able to give those tools and those resources to the up and coming next generation of dancers has been something that I've always really enjoyed. And just giving back to the community again, giving back to the art that I fell in love with.
Right, dude. I absolutely love that. Like that idea is awesome and beautiful, honestly. Like just to be able to
Thanks.
give back to these people and to other people that are just doing that same grind as you, cuz like we both said, like it's Idaho.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very very rare. I mean, there's so many ballet, so many jazz, so many cheerleaders, but when it comes down to hip hop, like straight hip hop, you're like when I went to college too, I thought like, oh, I'm gonna get a major in hip hop. No, a major in dance. I took
Yeah.
2 elective hip hops, and then everything else was modern tap, jazz, like like all the other fields of things, and I was like, damn it, I screwed myself.
Sure.
I mean,
Well,
it helps. It
that's
helps,
why that's why I never like even thought about like minoring in dance here at Boise. Like we don't have a major. It was a minor, and I looked into it, but it's like it was ballet, modern. Like there was like a rep class where that was the only one that piqued my interest, was because like that's where you learn how to choreograph, or where you learn how to count and
Oh,
stage and
good.
that. But the director wouldn't let me take that class unless I was minoring in dance, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
that means I have to take either ballet, modern, jazz, whatever Boise State offers. And I was like, I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm not gonna take that. So
Yeah, it's true though. But yeah, just giving those tools to somebody. So I remember, did you? I feel like you put on a show for the Starving Artist, didn't you? Like, didn't you have something to do with the theater? Or you rented it out or something like that?
yeah. So the Egyptian theater is, like I have a really great relationship with Destiny over at the Egyptian theater. And so the first one, like right when I first launched Starving Artist Chronicles, um, we did a showcase to, I like the conception behind it was, there's so many different like recitals, like there's so many different like studios having their own performances. Why don't we bring every style into one show? like
Right.
like let's let everyone in our community showcase to the general public like what Idaho, Boise has to offer. So that first one was called A Dancer's Prologue. Very first show that I've ever put on. Like I've done dance battles before, just because like gaining that knowledge of like going to Utah to participate in battles, like I know what works and I know what didn't work and I know how I wanted it to work, but I've never put on like a showcase before, right? Like
Right.
I've helped out at like recitals and stuff, and I know like I'm an entertainer first, so like I know how to keep a crowd entertained, and I know like what I would like to see out of a showcase. So I put like all that energy into like a dancer's prologue, and we had like 20 performances I think at that one, and
Wow.
like it was dope because we had like I flew Max out, I was supposed to get other like big name people. Like I was in like talks with like Comfort.
Oh wow.
I was in talks with like side note, Comfort bought me a beer for my birthday. Tight. So,
That's awesome.
we were actually like we were on the same staff for a city that we both taught at. But that's a whole different
That's
story.
that's crazy though.
So, but like as like those bigger names, things started to fall through and they weren't able to come, it like really made me refocus all of the energy. It's like, am I bringing these big names so people will come, or am I wanting this show to be for my community, right?
Right.
And at the end of the day, it was like everything I'm doing is for the community. These big names, it doesn't matter that they're coming, right? Like let's just bring people that are well into the community and like let's have a good time because this is for Idaho, this is for Boise, you know. Yeah, that was Dancer's Prologue. And then I think 2 years ago was For the Soul. So For the Soul was another showcase, but what we did for the Soul was it was a showcase and it was a dance battle,
Oh,
right?
dope.
Yeah, so I've done battles before, I've done a showcase before, like why not put everything together and see what happens. And like For the Soul was a non-profit thing, and every dollar that I raised or like that we profited was donated to a charity for they basically donate shoes to kids that need them, right?
Wow.
So it's like I love shoes, and like that's what a dancer needs. Like that's their
Mm-hmm.
equipment, like that's their gun,
That's
like shoes.
everything.
So I really wanted to be able to like showcase like that of like For the Soul, hence For the Soul, right? It's like a double entendre, like that's for like your insides, but it's also like for shoes.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so that was really cool. Like that one was so much fun to put on, and just being able to give back to the community at like such a such a high scale, like a larger scale than what the community is used to. Like we have those events, like we have battles and we have showcases and recitals and everything, but it's like if I'm going to do something, I want to be able to do it big, and
Right.
I want it to leave like I want it to make an impact, right? I don't want it to
Right.
just be like an impression. And that's a quote that like I've really like stood by, you know, make an impact, not an impression, because an impression is something that people are going to forget, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But when you leave an impact on something, it's like, well, remember For the Soul, or remember Dancer's
Yeah.
Prologue, remember all these other events. Like we need more of those, like,
Yes, we
and
do.
I'm not saying that I'm the only one that's going to do these, because there are events in Idaho, and like I know that this community is something that's going to grow, but at what scale, right? And it's just
Right.
being able to give those tools and those resources. So like for anyone listening, like if you ever want to throw like an event for your city, or like if you want to just do what you need to do, let me know and I'm here to help. Like I am a resource.
That's
So
dope, man. That's dope. And I like all the best, workshops or whatever it may be that I was a part of. It's always because they put so much effort, energy. It wasn't like they were trying to sell tickets. They wanted you to remember something.
yeah.
And that's kind of why I love college showcases. Is
Mm-hmm.
these dancers they want to show, like, not only is it going to be portfolio and stuff like that, but they want to be like, hey, I can dance and I'm going to show you guys this whole semester's piece that I've worked on,
Yeah.
It hits hard. But being a part of that, the Starving Artist Chronicles, and doing all that, are you still doing that stuff today?
Kind of like low key in a way, like for me, I'm a very like spur of the moment person. So like For the Soul, like honestly, it was just me sitting in my bed, cleaning out my closet, and I found shoes, and I hit a buddy up and I was like, yo, I want to put a show on.
Let's go.
So
Dude, that's a
like
dancer, bro. Like
so
you just yeah.
there's things like I've done battles, like annual battles, but with everything going on right now, it's like, are people going to feel comfortable coming to an event right now? Like, but I think Starving Artist Chronicles is always going to be something that I feel like I'm going to remember, and I hope that my community has remembered. And I think it's going to be things are going to keep happening, and like, even though I don't have it scheduled out, because they're like, I am getting older and I have to start like looking towards like my future as well, but also
Mm-hmm.
taking care of like the future of like the up and coming dancers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, I'm always gonna want to do events, and like I love doing it, right? But at the end of the day, your boys got to eat too.
Exactly, dude. That's the struggle,
Yeah,
Is you can't be an artist like you can be an artist, but it's like when you do things like that, when you put all your things online, you pay to rent a place out, all those types of things just in hopes that somebody will watch it, come to it, pay a ticket to it, buy a shirt, whatever it may be. Like that stuff matters, and that's like what you said. It literally is starving artists. There's just so many, It's a struggle. It's a grind too.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it is stressful, right? Like, it is one of those things, because it is an event. There's so many things that could go into that, like, the I don't see coming, right? Like, um, flights might get canceled, so people can't come.
Right.
The show might get canceled. There might be a Boise State football game. People are gonna rather go to a Boise State football game than watch people
Yeah.
dance. Like, let's be real. But like, there's definitely still like a great community here, and I think like, because I like to do things on like that higher scale, it's like I gotta go all in, you know,
Yep. We gotta go
and
all in.
and I can only go all in so many times before it starts to like drain like me.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, like, the day of the show, and like when I start seeing people come in, like, all that hard work and all that effort that I put into it, like, that's that moment, right? Like, I think at both shows, like, I cried from like just the support and just like seeing it, but you're always going to have those doubts, especially when you're
Mm-hmm.
putting up like the money and like everything else. It's like, well, I got to sacrifice this for this.
No, dude. It's so funny that you actually mentioned that. I feel like that was the crossing that I came to. And I'm not saying I deserve anything. Nobody deserves anything. You got to put work out there, and maybe I just didn't have enough. But when I rented out the Stevens Performing Arts Center here at ISU, which was not cheap, when I rented out multiple studios, which was not cheap, when I paid thousands and thousands and thousands for professional videographers to come in and shoot my dance videos professionally. I think I shot 12 professional ones, like professionally made. And you just do it again and again, right? It sucks because it got worse, because now, like, as time was going on, especially now, especially now, is people want content, and they want it quick, they want it fast, and they want it perfect, right?
Yeah.
So to spit out content, like you said, being in this part where you have to put all of your energy, right? I haven't put on a show, but making a video, finding the dancers, choreographing, making sure it looks good, making sure everything looks good, make sure you got the videographer, make sure the color grading, make sure the area, make sure you got all the rights, things paid, like getting all that together, and then you put it out, and then you get 12 views. I went to New York City, flew out there, danced all over at the most, the World Trade Center, the new World Trade Center, the Statue of Liberty, paid all this money to get all these places, shot a video, put it up on YouTube, and to this day it has 200 views.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets to you so much that after so much time that you're just like, like I loved it. I enjoyed every minute of it. But like you said, that stress, that amount of not pain, but the amount of effort that you put in. And of course, like you said, I'm happy for you that you got that feedback back. That you said, you had that support, like you cried, it felt good. I don't think I ever really got that. I never got comments. I never got shares. It was like that thing where I just wanted one person to be like, dude, this video is dope.
Right.
Nobody,
Right.
like, it's like you get that one thing. It's like sub for sub. You're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm worth. Like, random comments. Like,
Yeah.
But that struggle after so many things, it's just crazy how relatable it is that, it is me. It was my personality to finally jump something that I feel. And my first year in film, like, it was right. I feel like it was probably where I meant to be. Like I got income, I got friends, I got business, all that stuff so well. But 10 years of dance, especially the last 3 years of college, professional film, and all that stuff, it was just like a steady nothing big came out of it. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? So I just want to say like that's a very important note, not for dancers, but for so many starving artists, is that it gets so much after so much time, and I feel like that's a lot of the reason why people drop.
Yeah.
It's just so much.
It like 100%, like for sure it can be stressful, but even, like you might not know that you could have inspired someone off of those videos, like some people just don't like to talk.
That's
Some
true.
people, like you don't know who you've inspired and you don't know like who you've touched. And, for like me, like with these events and stuff, it's like, I'm not entitled to people coming to my show, right?
Right,
Like
exactly.
there's so many other dancers here that want to grind out different ways. It's like I can't force you if your goals don't line up with my goals. Like just because I'm putting on like a dope ass event, like you're not obligated to come. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I love the support, but like I'm not gonna expect it. Like
Right.
I understand that we at the end of the day, like a lot of us are adults and a lot of us got to do what we got to do. So that's also something that you have to take into consideration, right? Like I'm a very I don't really tell people like I'm proud of them or like anything like that, like, but like for me I keep it like internal. Like I watch and I see like and I observe like everything that's going on. And like I've watched your videos and and like I might not have told you like it's dope, but like I respect it and like I think it's dope.
Oh
Like
hell
I'm
yeah.
just not a very vocal person. But yeah, like the grind of an artist is crazy because it can go in so many different directions. It's like like you want to go one way, but like fate pulls you this way. Like
Right.
so yeah, it's crazy. Like I would
Yeah.
love to do more events and like do more starving artist things, but I think right now it's like obviously with what's going on right now,
Yeah.
who knows what's gonna
Yeah.
happen, right?
No, I 100% respect it, dude. It's just like it's I don't know. I love every word that you said, that people are watching from afar.
Yeah.
I know where it's just generally you just don't want to respect yourself or love yourself based on views, likes, comments, things like that, right? In general. But to just do it because you love it, like you said, you put on these events and you do it because you love it. You're giving back to the community. You're showing like who you are. You're putting it on so like if people want to come, they can come, right? Trying to stay away from that entitledness like type of thing and just enjoy the thing. And it's cool too because like you said, the journey where you don't know where you're gonna end up and stuff like that. Where faith, and it's like now that I may be shooting videos, I know how to be on camera more. I know like hey, like you're looking down. Come on, confidence. Like I can direct so much better because I know how it is to be on camera.
Yep.
I've been in their shoes, so it does cross help. But it's really interesting to just hear this whole conversation about just the starving artist and what you got to do. And one more thing about this before we jump away from it, your Starving Artist Chronicles that I was really curious of. When you put on all these shows, did you have like other people that were dancing? Like, did they do their own pieces? Did you do choreography with them, or like how'd they come together inside of it?
Yeah, so it was one of those things where it's like I opened up submissions for the shows. Um, because again, right, like this is for the community. This is for the community to show what they work on. Like this is something for them to grow. They wouldn't grow if I give them, hey, you have to do my choreography at my show. Like this is for you to showcase. So with every show, like I gave them complete creative freedom with that. And like even though we did have to vet like who's going to perform and who's not going to perform, it was one of those things that's like once we picked the performers, like we 100% trusted them to put on a great show.
Wow,
you know
that's dope, dude. That's
yeah.
actually really cool. That's really cool. So yeah, the Starving Artist Chronicles. What else have you done? Like, what was maybe one of your biggest highlights that you have had in your dance career thus far? Like,
I
have
think
you?
there's
Go ahead.
so there's a couple things, right? So sorry to cut you off.
You're good. You're good.
So one of the things is like as a dance teacher, like I really wanted to be on a convention. And for those of you that don't know what a convention is, it's basically it's a hotel that gets rented out, a ballroom, like tons of teachers come, tons of studios come, and like it's just like it's like a workshop, but like on a grander scale.
Right.
So like that's one real big goal that I set for myself. that I was able to achieve, and it was one of those things where it's like, I'm going to shoot in the dark and I'm going to email out my resume, my highlight reel to all these conventions. And I know how to draft up like a pretty professional email.
From
And
that
if they,
marketing, yo. Yeah.
and if they hit me back, they hit me back. Right. Like it was just one of those
Dope.
things where it's like, I set that mindset and I set that goal of like, I'm teaching at a convention, and like I was able to teach for this convention for 3 years. Like they flew me out to probably like 12 plus cities on the East Coast to go teach for them
Wow.
throughout those 3 years. So it's like, I've been to Pittsburgh, I've been to Detroit, I taught in Buffalo, so like that to me was something I really like appreciated, is just because I set that goal for myself. And, coming from Idaho, like the hip hop dance scene here isn't huge. And I wanted to overcome that. I was like, I don't have to move to LA to be booked for a convention. I don't have to
Right.
move to New York to be booked for a convention. I'm going to get booked for a convention here, right?
Right.
For me, Mikey Castro. So, yeah, that's something that like I hold true, like truly deep, close to me. Yeah. For dance wise, right? Like being able to do that. And like I said, like I was able to hang out with Comfort, from So You Think. Like my very first time ever doing that, it was like, I was like looking around and I was just like, wow, I am teaching alongside like Alex Wong from So You Think You Can Dance. Like there's all of these big names. Like when you look at the staff list, like Fiction was on there, like, and a kid from Idaho is also on this staff list.
Nah, that's
Like
awesome.
things are achievable as long as you actually like go for it and like you put that into the universe that this is what I want to do and this is how I'm going to approach it and this is how I'm going to get there. Right. So
Right.
I think anything is possible. And it's right now, like just with me getting older, dance, I wouldn't say it's taking like a back seat, but it's doing its own thing right now. Right. Like
Mm.
I my goals in life have changed, right? Like I want to do other things right now where I need to make sacrifices, but dance is always going to be there for me. And dance is going to be one of those things where it's like, if I get asked to go teach again, like I'm not going to say no.
Exactly,
Right?
dude.
Like,
Exactly.
but there's also like, I know that there's up and coming people here in Idaho that are probably way doper than me, like, and I want to be that resource for them to like, hey, like
Reach
how
out.
did you get this job, or what did you do in this situation? Like I've been through that and like let me help you, right? Like reach out to me and let me know like what I can do to help you to get there.
Right.
So,
They're just like, yo, teach me dance. You're like, say less, say
yeah,
less. I got you. Like, you know,
but
that's dope, dude. And
yeah,
that idea too, when you said that you would stay here in Boise, did you, when you graduated college, did you still were like, I'm staying here in Boise, I'm not going out? Because that's like a huge move. Because
yeah,
that's a common thing in dancers' minds is like, you have to go to New York, you have to go to LA. If you want to make it big, has to be one of these two places. Like,
yeah.
what was your thinking process?
My process was I'm staying here. This
I'm
is home.
staying here.
This is home. And like as a dance teacher, like if I'm dope enough and if people like support me, then I don't have to be in LA. It's gonna be, yeah, like I've lost out on a couple of jobs because like flights and everything is expensive to get out of Idaho. But it's like I had a studio fly me out to Virginia to go set a competition piece on them,
That's dope.
from Idaho. Like I'm not in LA, I'm not in New York, I'm not a big name. Like I'm still given these opportunities, and like I'm such a stubborn person, and it's like I really wanted to do it for my community and to show the younger generation that you can do it from here. Like you don't
Right.
have to necessarily move. Like it could be a smart move, but you can accomplish it wherever you are, right?
Yep. I
So
agree, dude. Especially now, like with internet and video, I had the same thing. It was like, might as well stay here and go to college rather than just move to LA with zero context, right? At least I knew a
yeah,
studio here. I knew people like you that were doing workshops that I can join that I, have seen around. It was just a lot more better. But yeah, like that stigma, that idea to like up and move and just go to a new city is just so crazy. But it's awesome to see that it worked. What was the studio that you taught at, or do you still work there by chance? The one that
uh,
you were teaching at, did your workshops and all that stuff?
so I teach at Elevated Dance Project here in Idaho.
Elevated,
Yeah,
yeah.
Elevated is home and it's been home for like 9 years. So like they I was so lucky enough for them to be able to give me a job at 18, you know, like, and that has just been home. Like they've been like my resources for, you know, like if I need anything professionally in the dance world, like
That's
Elevated has just
awesome.
always been my home. Um, to touch back on what you were saying though, like of like not moving, what I did do was I traveled a lot, right?
There
Like
you go.
I
Yeah.
traveled to Utah and I traveled to LA, and you know, like you still have to move around and make those connections. Like I didn't just stay here in Idaho, right? Like
Right.
I wanted to go explore and I wanted to bring back everything that I learned back home, right? Like
Right.
this is home base for me, but I know like you have to network and the only way to grow is to get out of that comfort zone. So you still have to go out there. I just never moved. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Exactly. You
just came back
stayed
here.
based. Yeah, you stayed based here, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Like respect, because that's a lot. I just go to school now, and a lot of people when they graduate, it's like, oh, Boise sucks. Like
Yeah.
Poke sucks. It's got to be LA. It's got to be New York. It's got to be like I've had producers, dancers. There's so many people that are like, I'm going right there, and I'm like, why? Do you know anybody? No. Do you have any job opportunities? No. Are you gonna dance anywhere? Well, I'll see when I'm out there. I'm like, but you have so much of that here. You have friends, you have contacts, you already know a studio. Like, take advantage of that. And it
Yeah.
seems like you did. Like, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna travel, but like, I can build my base here. Why start all over? Like, I feel like
Mhm.
it's kind of pointless, you know. But yeah, it's just insane when you think about it. But there was a professional video that you made that we can start talking about a little bit. But I think it's your most viewed one. I didn't double check, but that barbershop one. Am I correct? Is that the most viewed one?
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm
that
gonna pull
one
it up
is
real quick.
fire.
Let me pull it up.
Dude, that one is fire, bro.
That one was just for funsies too. I didn't even think it's got
That's the ones that blow up, bro. You're like, I work a year on this, and then it's like, and then you're like, I'm just gonna do this in a day, and they're like, hey,
yeah, it's got
that's the one.
this is probably the most viral like dance video that I've done. It's got like 300K views on it.
100,000. Holy shit,
So
bro.
like, that's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool, bro. That's
Like,
wild.
that's tight. Like that's cool.
That's
Um,
so dope.
yeah, like I think, you know, like it was just when you do like sometimes too, like content creation, you have to be able to like land it like perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect release time. Like obviously I put it out when 24K was like one of the like the hot thing on the
Honest.
radio, you know, like when Bruno Mars is coming out, like coming back, you know, like so yeah, I think I don't want to say I got lucky because I know that we put a lot of work into it, but like it's also a fun dance and like people are going to be able to relate to it. So
Right. Heck yeah, dude. That's fire. But is how many professional dance videos did you do?
I've done,
Like, and what I'm saying, like, because I say that term, and I guess maybe it just might be myself, but I think, you do freestyles, you do your cell phone videos all the time, right? But like
yeah,
professional is like when you have like a camera there or things like that.
done quite a few. Like, um, usually
I
I'll
remember,
do,
I just remember the one too that you did the that one that was also super dope. I want to say it was a stage, but it had a bunch of candles everywhere.
that was it to Destiny's Child?
Yes, yes, that one
Yeah.
was fire.
Yeah.
That one was
So like
fire.
so obviously like as a dance teacher, like you have to choreograph all the time. You know, like those are like my studio pieces, but then there's like pieces that um like for personal projects, right? So like whenever I hear a song or like something that I just want to get down to, like that's when I'm like, okay, like this is that story, like this is what I want to paint, right? So like with Cater to You by Destiny's Child, like obviously it's like you want to take this girl out on a date and like you want to be
Mm-hmm.
like treat her special and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, I want to run with that. Like I always want to do a video like that. And you know, like again, I'm like on the whim kind of person. So like if I want to do it, like I'm just gonna go do it. Right. Like
Right.
so
That's dope, dude. That's dope. With like how much money even for the barber video? Like, did you have a videographer? Did you try to find someone on campus that you're like, hey, yo, I'm a dancer. You want to shoot something? Like how
the
much money did you
barbershop
put in these?
the barbershop one was a homie from Utah. So we actually shot that in Utah and it was one of those things
Oh,
where it's
cool.
like yeah, so like one of the dancers like knew a videographer and he knew a barbershop. So like we just made it all happen. Like um usually I actually it's nice because there's so many people here that like love doing video and like we all support each other. So it's like one of those things where I haven't really necessarily like I've paid people to shoot my videos, but it's nice like getting that support to be like, I want to make
Mm,
this vision come to life. So like let's make it come to life. Right.
right.
So
That's super fire, dude. Like I
yeah.
was just curious because they can be expensive, especially when
Oh,
you,
for
like you
sure.
said, like just the location. If you had to rent it, the videographer, getting it edited, posted, if you're gonna boost it, etc. Like,
Yeah. 100%. Like
but
definitely like a lot of revenue will go into like making a video, like a lot of
yeah,
capital. So
like a lot, yeah. So like, what determines like when you finish an idea or you're doing choreography or something? What determines for you? What's that moment that you think, hey, this is perfect for my phone. I'm gonna pull it out, or what you're like, this needs a professional video. Like, you're doing a piece, you're working on a piece. Do you like make a piece for professional video, or like what do you
sometimes
think?
I think like there's like two aspects to it. It's like if I'm going through some stuff and like I want to dance, like I really want to express myself, like those are the pieces where I'm like, okay, I want to shoot like this
Right now,
concept video, like
right?
this is where I want to tell a story. Sometimes like I'll just choreograph something. I'll be like, yo, this is kind of dope. Like, let's shoot it. Right.
Let's just
So
shoot it, right?
like, yeah, it kind of just depends. Like a lot of the videos that like my ooey gooey stuff or like my sad stuff, like I was going through something during that time and it was my way to
Express.
express that emotion. So
That's fire, dude. So like, because we were talking about this content nowadays, and I hate it because I always make this joke, again, not trying to sound entitled, but it was like when I was making video games and doing all that stuff for years and I loved it. Right when I stopped, Twitch blew up, right? And
yeah,
I was like, dance, dance, dance. I wish I could do short form content, but no, people want long, professional, perfect content. TikTok comes out. Shit.
right.
Like, you're like, what? you know? But what is it? First question, do you have a TikTok?
I do. I do.
Do
So
you grind on it, bro?
I don't like grind on it hard, but I do have one. Like I'll just post like some of my old videos on there, just see like what's up. But I do know like being in like that marketing realm of like content creation, like if this is like the next wave, so obviously you're going to get more followers if you can have a TikTok
Mm-hmm.
video blow up, or like I've always been someone that just like loves doing crazy things too. So like TikTok is like one of those things. Like when it first started coming out, like a lot of my friends were like, yo, you should be on TikTok, you should be on TikTok, you should be on TikTok. And I was like, man,
Mm-hmm.
that's another like social media account that I have to worry about. Like, you know what I mean?
Right, facts.
Like I didn't want to have to like put that energy into it when I was putting energy into other things. But now, so like with me being home a lot more right now, it's like I'll just pop on TikTok. If I come up with an idea, I come up with an idea. But sometimes it's just like videos that I've already recorded and I'll just put it up just to put it up for funsies.
Right.
So
That's dope though, dude. It's just like it'd be not. It's just cool that you have these platforms that like we didn't.
oh
Or at
sure.
least back in the day, that's just like, oh, you. That's what kind of sucks is you kind of like, you have a style, you have something you want to do, but you don't have the platform to do it on, right? Like
Right.
cell phone videos on Facebook. Facebook doesn't like that. It gets, like they were like, hey, like sometimes it'll go through, sometimes it doesn't, whatever. But when you're trying to do something professionally on a cell phone level, they're like, it's just like podcasts. Like, it's hard for someone to listen to like a bad quality podcast or something like that. But
Yeah.
I was just
100%.
I was just curious to that. So like how many have you seen any development through your TikTok? Have you like what's your most like seen TikTok video?
Let me pull it up. So there's one that I shot, like it was just a freestyle to Get You by Daniel Caesar. And that one is actually like blowing up for some reason. This one
Dope.
has like 19,000 views on it.
That's fire, dude.
So yeah, it's like just one of those things. Like I didn't even expect it. You know what I mean? So
It just happened. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
it just
It's just
happened. Like I
like,
just posted it just to post it, and I'm like, yo, people are watching this. This is tight. So
dude, that attitude, I love that. Just enjoy it, and
yeah,
those are the videos that always blow up, right? Like when you actually just genuinely enjoy it, it's like this is fire.
yeah,
It comes through. That's dope though. So like, you said that so you're still dancing, right? You're still a teacher at that Elevated.
yep,
That's dope. So what do you do if you don't mind? Do you have a main job or do you have something that you do on the
yeah.
side or
So dance is just like one of those things that like that just really fills my soul. I don't necessarily like use it as like a paycheck right now. It's like my fun
right?
money. If I get paid, I get paid. Cool. But like I work at Apple right now. just doing sales and
Oh,
stuff.
dude, let's go.
Yeah, so just work there, just slinging it, slinging some Apple products. But it's a cool
That's
job.
dope.
Like they work really well with like my schedule for dance. So it's just like one of those things where right now I'm just kind of
It works
stacking it.
together.
Yeah, yeah,
I like how you said that too. You're like it's one thing to have a paycheck get paid, and there's another thing that fills your soul, right? It's like
yeah,
I love shooting videos, doing all that stuff. It pays the bills, right? It's good income. But the podcast is where I get to learn and actually grow as a human being and
right.
talk to amazing people. So that's really interesting though. So do you think though that you're like do you still feel like you have some projects you're worth like shooting for? Do you still have some ideas you're gonna maybe make or something like that? Like
Probably like I'm probably gonna come out with like some concept videos or professional videos or like probably gonna do an event. Like I just kind of like whatever I'm feeling, I'm gonna do it. So like
right.
I don't have anything like set in stone right now, but I do know that there are gonna be things that I'm gonna want to do.
Heck
So
yeah, dude.
I'm
The
not
show, if you do a show, bro, you gotta invite me. Like that,
for
I'm
sure.
just sad I missed it in the first place. But the energy, just seeing the comments, like, bro, the show was. Because he posted a picture of like you out in the theater or something, and all the comments were like, this show was so amazing. Da, 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 da. And
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, that's dope. Where was I? Damn it. You
yeah,
know? Yeah, dude, that's fire though. That's really cool. I got a couple more
yeah.
before I let you go, but
No worries.
just a couple of thoughts and things like that. But Um, one of the biggest things I kind of really wanted to touch on, being a dancer in Boise. Do you like? I know you kind of touched on it already, but like, even just at your studio, is there like hip hop teachers there? Are you the only one, or
There's three of us now, I think.
there's three of you guys?
Yeah, so there's a girl that teaches, and then another one of my homies teaches at EDP. Before it used to just be me, but in that 9 years, like we've
It's,
grown and we've
so
expanded,
you
and
have grown.
yeah.
That's dope. So that's what I was gonna say. Is like how it does the hip hop community feel like in Boise? Do you feel like it's grown since you've started there years
Oh,
ago?
100%. I think it's growing. It's slowly but surely. Like again, we all have like our own goals and like our own like aspirations of what we want to do. Like there's a
Right.
battle coming up, and I'm probably gonna go to it. Like for sure. Like I gotta support the community, but there's just I think we all want to go do like our own things. Right now.
Right.
It's not like where like collectively like every hip hop dancer in Idaho or Boise, this is what we want to work on. It's like
Right.
I want to work on this, I want to work on this, they want to do this, and then like and for sure like it's a lot bigger than what it was when I first started dancing, and that's awesome to see. And like I said, I'm an observer, and I love just kind of kicking back and just seeing what happens, and like being that resource for people if they need to come to me or if they do have questions about like how to approach things, and like I'm here. But
Right. So, is there any events like this hip hop community up in Boise? Like, is there any event that comes to mind that you're like, if you come here, like, this is the event you should hit up? Like, one of the biggest battles, maybe one of the biggest showcases,
I
you
mean,
know?
like I would say like the Starving Artist Chronicles like events, honestly. you
Like, they're
know
fire.
Not to like toot my own horn, but it's just like I know what I put into that production, and like just getting the feedback that I've gotten, like so many people love it, and there aren't like those like huge type of events, like Starving Artist Chronicles, like every tagline has been biggest dance showcase, like biggest da 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 in Boise, Idaho, and like because if you're gonna go for it, you got to go for it. Like
Right. For
if you're
real.
gonna put on a show, like you got to put on a show. And that's
Yeah.
just kind of how like I've always looked at it. So, I mean, I wish they're like an annual thing. Like we don't.
All
There's
right.
like there's like battles here that are annual. Like there's one called East versus West. So it's like Eastern Idaho versus Western Idaho, and it's like
Oh,
who's the top
dope.
dog of Idaho. That's like a consistently annual dance event. So it's like for sure, like I tell people about that battle. But yeah, I think like all of our events here like are always worth going to. You
Right.
know?
Dope. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Chronicles sounds like something that's like right up me and a lot of people I know. Like, I mean, I love going to showcases, but it's like you get 2 out of 50 hip hop,
Yeah,
so you're there for 6 minutes and then the next 2 hours or like, I mean, it's stuff, but it's stuff like I'm interested. Like, you want to see some hip hop, you want to see some, but it's
yeah,
just like, I was hoping that you'd, I mean, you might just have to make this thing annual, bro. Like, you might just have to make it, like, for real. That way you can have that first event that's like, hey, this is what we got. We have a lot of hip hop here. Like, come see us. Like,
Yeah,
you
for
know.
sure.
Yeah, that's fire, dude. That's fire. Bro, it's good to catch up with you. I think we answered everything I have. Do you have anything else you want to add? Tell the dreamers to dream or anything like that?
No, I think I just told my story, you know, just kind of just keep it genuine, and you know, like things are achievable. It's just how bad are you willing to go for it, right? So
Facts, dude. Mikey, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for letting us take a sneak peek at your dancer life and all that kind of fun stuff, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.